Let me ask you something that'll make you smile and maybe make you grateful. What in the world did folks use before there was toilet paper on a roll at the store? Because that soft roll you take for granted, it's newer than you'd think. For most of human history, and right on up into our grandparents' childhoods, nobody had it. And they managed just fine with what the good Lord and the general store provided. Today, I'm going to take you through 10 of the things people really used back before store-bought toilet paper. Some clever, some that'll make you laugh, and one or two that honestly still make good sense today, especially with prices what they are. My name is Thelma Carter. I'm 82 years old, and I promise to keep this tasteful. Let's take a walk back in time. Now here's why this is worth knowing, and it's more than just a curiosity. Our grandparents wasted nothing and bought little, and they stayed clean and dignified doing it. There's a lesson in that we've plain forgotten, that comfort didn't always come shrink-wrapped and marked up at the store. And with the price of everything climbing the way it is, a few of these old ways aren't just history. They're money back in your pocket. And I'll show you which ones at the end. So let's go back and see how folks did it before that soft roll ever existed. Now let me say something plain that folks don't like to talk about, but you're grown so we can talk about it. That soft roll we all take for granted, it isn't actually the cleanest way. It's just the most convenient. Here's the honest truth of it. Paper alone doesn't truly clean. It mostly just smears. Think about it. If you got mud on your hand, you wouldn't wipe it with a dry paper towel and call it clean, would you? You'd rinse it with water. Your body's no different. And what gets left behind when you only use dry paper can sit there and cause real trouble. Itching, irritation, and in those warm folds, it can feed bacteria. Especially as we get older and our skin gets more tender. And there's the wiping itself. Scrubbing its sensitive skin with dry paper over and over irritates it. And for anybody dealing with hemorrhoids or tender skin, that dry wiping makes it worse, not better. It's a mess if we're honest. And it's why every doctor tells you to rinse with water instead of wipe. The rest of the world figured this out a long time ago. We're the ones who forgot. So keep that in mind as I walk you through what folks used before, because some of it was actually cleaner than what we do now. Number 1, the mail order catalog. Now this is the famous one, and it's true. That big, thick Sears and Roebuck catalog, or the Farmer's Almanac, hung on a nail right there in the outhouse. And when the new one came, the old one went to the outhouse to be used up page by page. The pages were softish and, best of all, free. They came in the mail whether you wanted them or not. Folks even had their favorite sections. And when the catalog started printing on that slick, shiny paper years later, there was many a complaint about it because the old soft paper had worked just fine. Free, useful, and it got read twice. Number 2, the corn cob. Yes, I said it, and yes, they did. Out on the farm, after the corn was shelled off for eating and feed, those cobs didn't go to waste. They were kept in a basket by the outhouse. Now don't wince. A dried cob, and especially the softer red cobs some folks kept separate for the purpose, did the job, and there was an endless free supply of them every harvest. Our farming people wasted nothing, and the humble corn cob is proof of it. It's about as country as it gets, and our grandparents were not one bit ashamed of it. Number 3, newspaper. Same idea as the catalog, and even more common in town. Yesterday's newspaper, once it was read, got cut or torn into squares and hung on a string or a nail in the outhouse or the water closet. Some folks softened it up first by crumpling it and working it in their hands till it lost that crackle. It was free, it was everywhere, and it kept the news doing a second job after you were done reading it. Waste not, want not. Number 4, leaves, the soft kind. Out in the country, nature provided, and folks knew exactly which leaves to reach for. Big, soft leaves like mullein, which grew wild everywhere and is so soft they called it cowboy toilet paper, were a gift. Our people knew their plants, which leaves were soft and safe and which ones to never ever touch, like the poison ivy and its cousins. That was knowledge passed down careful, because getting it wrong was a misery nobody forgot. Free growing right outside the door. Number 5. Soft cloth, the rag folks kept. Stay with me, because this is the one that matters most for today. Now here's the one that's about to come back around, so pay attention. Long before disposable everything, families kept soft cloths, worn out sheets, old flannel cut into squares, for the youngest and the oldest in the house especially. They were used, then washed, then used again, same as they washed the baby's diapers. And I'll tell you plainly at the end why this old way is the single biggest money saver on this whole list. If your family kept a rag basket for everything, put a 5 in those comments. You know exactly what I mean. Number 6, water, plain and simple. Here's the one most of the world still uses to this day and always has. In much of the world, folks kept a little pitcher or a pot of water by the privy, and water and the left hand did the job, clean, cheap, and endless. Our own people in a lot of places did the same. It's the simplest thing there is. It costs next to nothing. And honestly, a lot of folks who've tried it will tell you it leaves you cleaner than paper ever did. There's a reason it never went out of style across most of the earth. Number 7, moss and soft plant fibers. Going back further still, folks used soft moss. That green moss that grows thick and cushiony on the north side of things. It was soft, it soaked up well, and in the damp country, it was everywhere for the taking. Our ancestors and the native peoples of many lands used moss and soft plant fibers, and they did just fine, free, natural, and growing wherever it was cool and damp. The earth provided for those who knew where to look. Number 8, wool and lamb's wool. For folks who kept sheep, a bit of clean, soft wool served the purpose, and gently at that. It was soft as could be, and on a farm with sheep there was always a little to spare come shearing time. Some of the old well-to-do folks going way back were said to have kept soft wool for just this reason. Soft, gentle, and for a shepherding family, free off the back of their own flock. Number 9, the sponge on a stick. Now here's a curiosity from way, way back in the old ancient world. Some peoples kept a natural sea sponge fixed to the end of a little stick and a pot of salt water or vinegar water to rinse it in between. It was shared in the public places, which, well, we know better now about that part. But the idea of a soft natural sponge and clean water was clever for its time, and it tells you people have been solving this same little problem for thousands of years. There is nothing new under the sun. Number 10, and the one that ties it together, whatever was free and at hand. Because here's the real truth behind all 9 of these. Our grandparents and their grandparents didn't run to the store for a special product. They looked around at what was already there, free and plentiful, and they used good sense. The catalog in the mail, the cob from the field, the leaf from the yard, the rag from the basket, the water from the well. That's the whole spirit of the old ways in this and in everything. Use what you have, waste nothing, and never be too proud to be practical. That mindset is worth more than any single trick on this list. Now let me give you what I promised. Which of these old ways actually puts money back in your pocket today? Because a couple of them truly do. The average family spends a real chunk of change every year on toilet paper, and the prices only climb. So here's the honest truth. If you want to spend far less, you don't have to go back to corn cobs. Bless your heart, please don't. The 2 old ways that came roaring back are these. 1, a little water. A cheap water bottle with a spout or an inexpensive little sprayer that hooks right to your toilet does what most of the world already does, and you use just a scrap of paper to dry or a cloth. And remember what I told you. It's not just cheaper, it's genuinely cleaner. No smearing, no scrubbing at tender skin, far less of the irritation and bacteria that dry paper leaves behind. That one change can cut your paper use down to almost nothing and leave you cleaner. 2. The soft cloth way, what folks now call family cloth. Soft washable cloths for drying, tossed in with the wash. Between the two, families have cut their paper spending down to a sliver of what it was. I won't tell you it's for everybody, but it's real, it's clean, and it's money saved. So don't you ever laugh too hard at the old ways or think our grandparents lived poor and pitiful. They lived resourceful. They stayed clean and dignified with a catalog page and a pitcher of water and a basket of soft rags. And they didn't owe the store a dime for the privilege. There's a wisdom in that we let slip away. The wisdom of looking around at what you already have instead of reaching for your wallet. That's not backwardness, that's freedom, and a little of it brought back on purpose will serve you well. So tell me down in those comments, what did your people use, or what did your grandmother tell you about the old outhouse days? I know some of you have stories that'll make us all laugh, and I want to hear everyone. I read them all. And if you like this trip back in time, I did a whole video on the old ways to cut your power bill in half. Same spirit, real money saved. And I'll put it right up on your screen so you can watch it next. Next time, I'll show you the other things our grandmothers made at home that we foolishly buy at the store. The old way, the way that saved us. Now you know what I know. Don't you let it stop with you. You carry it on the way it was carried to me. I'm Thelma Carter, and I'll be right here.